All right. Well, good evening, church family. Please do not mind the ridiculous headset. Hopefully it'll have a little bit better audio for y'all. So we're going to go ahead and dive right back into our Genesis Bible study, and we are going to be in Genesis 44. You know the drill. Go ahead and pause the video, read Genesis 44, and then we'll resume. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with 1 through 3. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of his sack. Also put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest, and his grain money. So he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. As soon as the morning dawned, the men were sent away, they and their donkeys. So at this point, okay, the brothers are now, they're now leaving Egypt. If you remember from the previous chapter, they actually had dinner with Joseph and in his house. And if you remember, he organized all the brothers from the oldest to the youngest, and they were astonished by that. So it's generally been a series of good fortune for them. So as they're being sent away, they're leaving in high spirits. They've been treated well. Their sacks are full of grain. Simon, he's back out of prison. And so what he does is Joseph is now testing them again. And we'll get further into that. And so we see him specifically say to put his silver cup, his chalice, in the sack of the youngest being Benjamin. And so we are going to go through a whole nother test, a test from Joseph. And at this point, is he just tormenting them? What's going on? But what we're going to be seeing is further validation that Joseph is hoping to see further validation of his brothers, all of their change of heart. And so they're sent away, and this silver chalice, this silver cup, has been placed in Benjamin's bag. So 4 through 5. When they had gone out of the city and were not yet far off, Joseph said to his steward, Get up, follow the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, Why have you repaid evil for good? Is not this one from which my Lord drinks, and with which he indeed practices divination? You have done evil in so doing. So the brothers, they get caught in Joseph's trap. And again, further validating, Joseph is trying to further validate that they had a change of heart. And so one of the key words in these verses is divination. And I had to look this up, but divination is essentially it's a practice, kind of a spiritual practice, kind of magical, mystical, of like foretelling. And do I think that Joseph practiced in divination? I don't think so. I think that all he was doing in this moment was trying to further sell how valuable this silver chalice, the silver cup was. This chalice being related to divination, meaning that it was small, but it was very important to the Egyptian leaders and their culture. And so that's kind of what divination was. Think of it of like going to a fortune teller and they have these cards and they flip the card. That's a form of divination. So this chalice, to the brothers, after they hear about it, they would realize, oh wow, a silver chalice that was used for practicing divination is very important and is worth a lot to an Egyptian leader. So to be for there to be a claim that we have stolen this silver chalice is not good. That's very, very bad. So that's just a little background on divination. So 6 through 10. So he overtook them, and he spoke to them these same words. And they said to him, "Why does my Lord say these words? Far be it from us that your servants should do such a thing. Look, we brought back to you from the land of Canaan the money which we found in the mouth of our sacks. How then could we steal silver or gold from your Lord's house? With whomever of your servants it is found, let him die, and we also will be Lord's slaves." And he said, "Now let it be according to your words. He with whom it is found shall be my slave, and you shall be blameless." So the brothers are confidently stating that they do not have the cup. And you remember, none of them put the cup in the bag. It was Joseph's servant who did this. He placed it there. So the brothers are showing a very healthy trust among them. That they are firm. We do not have this, and if any one of us does, you can kill us. You can kill him. So that is how trustworthy the brothers are of each other in this moment. Like, no, we didn't even spend the money that you gave us before. We brought it back. We're trustworthy. We wouldn't do such a thing. So that they were so confident that they did not have the cup, and declared that the thief should be killed and all the others taken as slaves. And so 11 through 13. Then each man speedily let down his sack to the ground, and each opened his sack. So he searched. He began with the oldest and left off with the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, and each man loaded his donkey and returned to the city. So it says that they speedily let down the sacks. Okay, they did it quickly. They were certain that they were innocent. They had done nothing wrong. And yet, the planted evidence was found in Benjamin's sack. And so they tore their clothes. Now, this is an extreme expression of horror, almost as if someone had just died. They weren't happy at the idea of being rid of Benjamin. They were horrified with this new reality that they had just transpired upon. And this was a radical change for the brothers. See, before they didn't really care about their father or the favored son, as we saw with them selling Joseph so long ago. But now the idea of hurting either father or son made them feel as bad as if someone had died. So this is an extremely radical shift in their feelings, and this outward display of tearing their clothes off further magnified this new reality that they had just come upon. And so each man loaded his donkey and returned. And so they were willing to stand with Benjamin as he faced slavery or death. They didn't try to run away. They didn't just say, "Okay, Benjamin, you did this, what you did, go suffer the consequences of your actions." They sided with him. They stayed with him, and they went back into Egypt and confronted Joseph over this issue. So 14 through 15. So Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, and he was still there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said to them, "What deed is it that you have done? Did you not know that such a man as I can certainly practice divination?" So again, they fall on the ground before Joseph, fulfilling that dream that he had so long ago in Genesis 37. And he says that, Joseph says that, "Did you know that I certainly practice divination?" He's staying in character. Okay, remember, he's this Egyptian. He's right underneath Pharaoh, so he's staying in this Egyptian character, further validating that such an offense had occurred, and that it was a genuine disaster that had transpired. So 16 through 17. Then Judah said, "What shall we say to my lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God has found out the iniquity of your servants. Here we are, my lord's slaves, both we and he also, with whom the cup was found." But he said, "Far be it from me that I should do so. The man in whose hand the cup was found, he shall be my slave. And as for you, go up in peace to your father." Now I want to read to you if you've ever read The Message, it's a different translation of the Bible, and kind of more in a contemporary form. But I want to read to you how The Message translates those verses, because it kind of makes things more clear. So verse 16, Judah, as spokesman for the brothers, said, "What can we say, master? What is there to say? How can we prove our innocence? God is behind this, exposing how bad we are. We stand guilty before you and ready to be your slaves. We're all in this together. The rest of us is guilty as one with the chalice." "I'd never do that to you," said Joseph. "Only the one involved with the chalice will be my slave. The rest of you are free to go back to your father." So it's in this moment that Judah revealed God's work among the brothers, and that they feel as though as they are suffering the consequences of their sin against Joseph. And it's the sin that they committed so long ago, but yet it still lingers in their hearts, and it is still prominent on their minds every day. But it's in this moment, with these words, Judah insisted that the brothers would stick by Benjamin, though he was favored and the more greatly blessed son. If they quickly abandoned Benjamin, it would show little change of heart from 20 plus years ago when they abandoned Joseph. 18 through 23. Then Judah came near to him and said, "O my lord, please let your servant speak a word in my lord's hearing, and do not let your anger burn against your servant, for you are even like Pharaoh. My lord has asked his servants, saying, 'Have you a father or a brother?' And we said to my lord, 'We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, who is young. His brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him.' Then you said to your servants, 'Bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes on him.' And we said to my lord, 'The lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die.' But you said to your servants, 'Unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you shall see my face no more.'" So Judah's kind of doing a recap of everything that transpired with bringing Benjamin back. And he's reminding Joseph, the Egyptian official, that all this began with his questions. And he's further emphasizing this again and again with his "then you said, but you said." And he's presenting this, Judah is presenting this matter in a very sympathetic way. And so 24 through 29. "So it was, when we went up to your servant my father, that we told him the words of my lord. And our father said, 'Go back and buy us a little food.' But we said, 'We cannot go down. If our youngest brother is with us, then we will go down. For we may not see the man's face unless our younger brother is with us.' Then your servant my father said to us, 'You know that my wife bore me 2 sons, and the one went out from me. And I said, Surely he is torn to pieces, and I have not seen him since. But if you take this one also from me, and calamity befalls him, you shall bring down my gray hair with sorrow to the grave. And so we see Judah recapping the events from Genesis 43. And I think these kind of recaps, word for word, are very prominent throughout the Bible. But we'll keep moving on through 30 to 32. Now therefore, when I come to your servant my father, and the lad is not with us, since his life is bound up in the lad's life, it will happen, when he sees that the lad is not with us, that he will die. So your servants will bring down the gray hair of your servant our father with sorrow to the grave. For your servant became surety for the lad to my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father forever. So in this, Judah is showing a greater concern for their father's well-being. 20 years before, they didn't care about their father's feelings when they sold Joseph off. All they cared about was themselves. So we're seeing more evidence of a change of heart from the brothers, saying, our father, he will die if we do not bring Benjamin back. And it's this completely change of heart from them, and Joseph is getting to witness this. 33 through 34. Now therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the lad as a slave to my lord, and let the lad go up with his brothers. For how shall I go up to my father if the lad is not with me? Lest perhaps I see the evil that would come upon my father. So Judah dramatically offered to lay down his life for the sake of Benjamin in this moment. This is a dramatic change from 22 years ago. You want to know what happened 22 years ago? It was Judah. It was Judah who was the one who suggested selling Joseph. So we have him go from wanting to sell Joseph to now distinguishing himself as the one willing to be a substitutionary sacrifice out of love for his father and for his brother. So we are ending here kind of on a cliffhanger. So stay tuned for next week, and we will kick back into chapter 45. Thank y'all and have a great day.